Things were starting to happen. Now with 4 cast members under written agreement, I could start to make plans to shoot this production. But I still wanted a few more cast members to make 2 teams. What I finally figured out was sending people an email or sending out material over the internet was not working for me. What was working was talking to people face to face. So now I was working really hard to cultivate the relationships that would make this television show happen.
I'll talk about Ruth first because I've really met her for a while. And I've seen a real expansion. She sort of was timid and not talking very much when I first met her during the first quest. And now she's really starting to own who she is and communicate about it and things like that. And I'm just really excited and I really want to support more of that expansion.
Meet our 5th cast member, Ruth Ann Wood, writer, entrepreneur.
My quest is to have an awesome event in Philadelphia and bringing together all of these authors and creative people and community leaders that I've interviewed and actually have FaceTime with them, videotape their stories, and then bring other people that want to be part of this community together. So it's really a big, and make it a very profitable venture.
Freeze it here for a moment. At the risk of getting ahead of myself, and you will see this in the next episode, Ruth made a specific dollar amount, and that was $100,000 that she was going to make a check out to herself after expenses for this author's event. So what that means is we now have 2 participants who made a $100,000 monetary goal. Now, I didn't know if this was reality television or a wish list or a work of fantasy, like Fantasy Island or something like that. So the stakes were really getting raised, and I didn't know if this was just going to turn into one big joke or if something really profound was going to happen here.
If I ruled the world, people would have the courage to share their stories. If I ruled the world, people would realize that their setbacks are their juice, are their superpower for making lots of money and helping other people. If I ruled the world, I would not be afraid of my shadow side and finish my screenplay. If I ruled the world, I would happily get pregnant and be a great mom. If I ruled the world, I would go on more adventures around the world with my husband. If I ruled the world, I would stand up for myself around my grandmother, who seems to pick the exact time that I'm busy to schedule going shopping with her at the grocery store. If I ruled the world, I would visit my dad more often in Canada. If I ruled the world, I'd talk to my family more often on the phone. If I ruled the world, I'd have my own Epcot Center based on, if I ruled the world, I would take my vision of my movie that I've been working on for 10 years and actually create like a Franklin Institute where people can experience wealth, health, and prosperity in this type of hands-touch interactive environment and make it like a Epcot Center where people go on rides and actually have 3D reality virtual connectors, so they're fully living these characters on the big screen.
Good cut. What Ruth was actually describing was precisely what I wanted to accomplish through this Destiny 5 reality virtual experience. People would come together and play in these 9 improv games while creating something for real in their lives. We were doing the virtual reality part through the drama games, but the real reality would happen after you left. It's kind of like we were writing our destiny, rehearsing the scenes through our emotions, and then we would go out and really make it happen. This was really exciting, and Ruth seemed to get the concept. I mean, this was kind of the law of attraction type stuff, you know, the stuff that the book The Secret describes. You know, you think of something, you emotionally commit to it, and then it happens in real life. I don't know if I still believe in that completely, but we were going to take a journey that explored that concept, and you were going to get to see it in real time. Not after the fact, not after somebody said, oh, I did this, you can do it too. No, you're going to see the journey that it took to get there. Like I said, Ruth being here and raising the stakes like this really made it scary, but also made it potentially rewarding. She summed up this whole idea about writing your success or scripting for your success in a childhood story that she shared with us.
Since I was in elementary school, I wrote short stories and they would come true, but I got scared about it because I wrote about, in 2nd grade, wanting to be the first kid in space. And then the Challenger blew up.
Wow.
And so I was kind of scared because I would write other stories that would just come to me, and it wasn't fun. in 8th grade and 9th grade, I went to a private school, got away from middle school around here. And I had a teacher that was both my science teacher and my English teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And in my journal, I wrote down a story that just came to me. It was like a paragraph long, about a girl that went to class one day and realized everybody was a quantum leap ahead of where they were the day before.
Mm-hmm.
That everybody had woken up with the knowledge, the dream. And the only other person in my story that realized it had happened was the teacher, and they were some kind of connected with some kind of bond.
Yeah.
And that was the same year I had a really big crush on my science and my English teacher.
Wow.
Well, anyway, and he helped me through some emotional stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he picked up on that because the story came true. I shared the story, that story, and then a couple days later, everyone was given a balloon, a straw, and a flask, and we were trying to get the balloon to wrap around the inside of the flask.
Mm-hmm.
It took people a day to figure it out. They couldn't figure it out. And the next day, within 5 minutes, just about everyone figured it out.
Mm.
You have to stick the straw, you want to know? You have to stick the straw on the side so the air can escape, and it fits like a glove inside the flask. A day later, he said, I have something to read in my journal, and he told the story of how what I'd written in English class became a reality in science, and he dubbed me the writer of our lives. And everybody in class said, Ruth, write me a story about winning $1 million. Ruth. And it wasn't until 15 years later, when I was 29 and I met my husband, future husband, that I realized that the wish list I had made of what I wanted in a life partner in therapy, of being with this person from age 17 to 27, and I realized I only had a third of what I wanted in that relationship. And then when I met my husband, within 2 weeks, I pulled out that list, and I realized I had 29 out of 30 things that I wanted, and today I have 30 out of 30.
Wow.
And it was like, wow, I met someone that I had wrote the story about before I'd even met him.
So I figured out we were creating a show about this law of attraction phenomenon, but I wanted to tell an exciting, compelling story along the way. I was figuring out that this story had something to do with law of attraction, but also a lot to do with the hero's journey, which meant that you had to face some of your deepest fears to bring about what you wanted in your life. As much as I wished, or as much as I wanted to believe my dream would be easy, it wasn't. It was very difficult, and I almost quit. The next chapter in my story had the power to destroy this dream. This portion of Destiny 5 is brought to you by Live Your Peace. Check out Live Your Peace at www.liveyourpeace.com. Get your dreams out of the drawer and start scripting your success.